Jack London, The Call of the Wild. Dive into the captivating world of The Call of the Wild with this engaging summary of Jack London's classic novel. Witness the thrilling journey of Buck, a domesticated dog who is suddenly thrust into the harsh wilderness, as he learns to survive and adapt to his new life. Along the way, he faces fierce rivals, cruel and loving masters, and the age-old instincts lurking within him. Exploring themes of nature, survival, and the bond between man and animal, this summary offers an exciting glimpse into Buck's transformation from a pampered pet to a resilient sled dog and, eventually, a powerful leader in the world of wolves.
Buck, the wild dog. Buck, a 4-year-old mongrel, lives on a farm in Santa Clara Valley, California. He spends his days freely roaming around the farm and accompanying the older children on their hunts. Despite being domesticated, he isn't a house dog and feels superior to the other dogs on the farm. He may seem tame, lying by the fire in the evenings, but Buck is wild at heart. Buck's harsh journey. Manuel, the judge's gardener, needs money to pay his debts and sells the loyal dog, Buck, without his knowledge. Buck wakes up in a train carriage with a sore throat and tongue and no food or water. The kidnapper sells Buck to a man in a red jumper who trains him with a club as a sled dog with Curly. Buck realizes that the man with the club is his oppressor, but eventually submits to him. Buck's introduction to primitive law. Buck, a wild and parched sled dog, is sold to a man in a red jumper who subdues him with a club. Buck faces the reality of primitive law and submits to his oppressor, promising never to seek his favor. He is then sold to sled drivers Perrault and Francois, along with Curly, to join their team of sled dogs. Buck's brutal introduction to the wild. Buck, a domesticated dog, experiences snow for the first time during a voyage north with other dogs. At Dyea Beach, he witnesses the hostile nature of the wild as a husky kills Curly, a friendly dog. Buck learns to keep a low profile and distrusts Spitz, the lead dog. He quickly adapts to being a sled dog and learns critical survival skills from Francois and his team. Buck's instincts emerge as he hardens his muscles and learns to protect his food, bury himself in the snow, and adapt to the harsh environment. Spitz and Buck's epic showdown. A bitter rivalry forms between Spitz and Buck, with Spitz constantly harassing Buck. Buck knows that Spitz is simply waiting for a chance to fight and assert his dominance. However, after a stressful day, Buck is provoked into attacking Spitz. Their fight is interrupted by a pack of wild, starving huskies who attack the sled dogs. In the chaos, Spitz still tries to get at Buck. The fight ends when the humans and dogs manage to drive off the huskies, but not without paying a steep price. All the dogs are wounded, and half the supplies are gone. Battling for leadership. Buck and Spitz engage in a fierce supremacy battle after Dolly's sudden outburst and Spitz's biting of Buck. Buck subtly defies Spitz's authority until the snowshoe rabbit chase presents an opportunity for Buck to attack Spitz. Initially at a disadvantage, Buck resorts to cunning and breaks Spitz's legs, leading to his ultimate defeat and death. With Spitz gone, Buck becomes the new leader of the sled dogs. However, the constant struggle for dominance between the two dogs has caused discipline in the team to fall apart. Buck's leadership triumph. Buck's desire to lead the sled team and his ability to restore discipline pays off as he becomes the team's new leader after convincing handlers Perrault and Francois. Buck leads the team to success on their return to Skagway and manages to handle a much heavier load. Along the journey, Buck experiences repeated visions of a primeval man by a fire, a sign of his growing connection to his primitive instincts. The tragic journey of sled dogs. The book describes the abuse and neglect suffered by sled dogs during the Klondike Gold Rush. Dave, the lead dog in one of the teams, suffers from extreme internal pain, becomes weak, and stumbles in the harness. Even though the handlers try to help him, he is eventually left behind and shot. Similarly, Buck and his team face cruelty at the hands of inexperienced adventurers Hal, Mercedes, and Charles, who mistreat the dogs, pack the sled too heavily, and skimp on food. The dogs are whipped and forced to pull the sled despite their exhaustion, leading to starvation and death. The book portrays the sled dogs as loyal and hardworking animals that are exploited for human greed. Fatal decision. A group of exhausted travelers arrives at John Thornton's camp, where they are warned not to continue their journey due to the melting ice. Ignoring the advice, the travelers beat the dogs and force them to move forward. When Buck refuses to obey, John intervenes, leading to Buck being cut from his harness. The group moves on without him and ultimately meets their demise in the thawing river. The story highlights the consequences of making reckless decisions and not listening to the advice of experts. Loyalty unwavering. Buck, a dog, is nursed back to health by John and befriends his other two dogs, Skeet and Nigeria. Buck becomes devoted to John, and they develop their own little rituals. John's partners, Hans and Pete, return to pick him up, and they all set off together. One day, John tests Buck's devotion by ordering him to jump off a cliff, and Buck gets ready to jump. Buck's love for John is genuine and passionate, and he proves his loyalty by being willing to risk his life for him. Buck's triumph. Buck, the magnificent dog, has fully recovered and is gaining a reputation as one of the best sled dogs alive. His unwavering loyalty to John, his owner, becomes the talk of the town after he defends John against an attacker and rescues him from a river. John then foolishly wagers all his savings that Buck can break free and pull a 1,000-pound sled for 100 yards, a feat no other dog has ever accomplished. Buck rises to the challenge and breaks free the sled, pulling it to the finish line, winning the bet for John, Hans, and Pete. John is amazed by Buck's power, calling him one of a kind and fulfilling his dream of searching for a mine holding unimaginable riches up north. Buck cements his reputation as a legendary sled dog, deserving of all the praise that comes his way. Journey to fortune. John and his team set off to find a legendary mine but return without success. They discover a lucrative spot for panning gold, and Buck continues to explore the wilderness around the camp. One day, he hears a strange howl and meets an old wolf, but his love for John brings him back to the camp. Buck's wild hunt. Buck's love for the wilderness grows as he sets his sights on larger prey, eventually becoming a skilled hunter. He comes across a herd of elk, and with cunning, takes down the lead bull after a 4-day chase. Buck's revenge. After returning to camp and finding his beloved master dead and the other dogs killed by a group of Indians, Buck seeks revenge. Driven by fury and half-crazed, Buck attacks and kills each Indian, feeling proud of himself for triumphing over man. However, his pride is short-lived as he mourns the loss of his master. Buck joins the pack. Buck, having nothing to hold him back, follows the howling wolves and faces them fearlessly. He fights and defeats them, gaining their respect and acceptance into their pack. The old wolf from his previous encounter welcomes Buck into the pack, marking his successful transition into the wild.
In this stirring summary of The Call of the Wild, we followed the gripping tale of Buck as he navigates the savage wilderness and discovers a world beyond human control. Along his journey, he encounters brutal realities and harsh lessons and learns to rely on his ancestral instincts to survive. Over time, Buck transforms from a gentle, domesticated dog into a formidable member of a wolf pack, embodying the spirit of the wild. Compelling and evocative, this summary captures the essence of a powerful story that reminds us of the eternal call of the wild, and the struggle for survival present in all creatures.